another review of a game that I will admit right now I have not beat. And I usually don't do reviews until I beat the game, unless they're games like, you know, Theatrhythm or just shit like that where I don't care if I beat it. It's just more fun to just play every once in a while. This game, though, is one that I do care, but there's a reason I didn't beat it. So I'm so close to the end, don't care. If you guys watch Ultimate Floyd 1, Scott, he also did not beat this game, and it's kind of the same reason that I didn't. So, which is odd because I love it so much. And that game's Final Fantasy XIII, the infamous I hate this game, but I loved it. So many people hated this, like the hate was unbelievable. To the point where when they made a sequel, they even changed shit up, and I feel like it's so annoying to me because there's like diehard Final Fantasy fans that were so upset that they changed so many things, and I feel like, I don't know, why do RPGs always have to be the same? Why does Final Fantasy not get to experiment with new things? Like, and, you know, hey, some of them might not be for the better, but I always applaud them because they always are experimenting. They never leave things the same. And some, you know, series do that, like Dragon Quest. Everything is like the exact same always. Different story, also, you know, there's new elements, but it's generally the same shit. And I feel like that's great. That's great. But this was, I don't know, I really like that Final Fantasy is always experimenting. We've all seen the footage for the new one coming out. You know, it's supposedly coming out at the end of this year, but it probably won't. Probably next year. That's fine. And when it comes out, I will get a PS4 for that. But it looks completely different from, say, any of them. But that's exciting. That's so exciting to me. Because you know that it's not going to be shitty. It's going to be a good game. And, you know, Square Enix will make a good game. This is a good game. And I'm going to explain why I really liked it. And then we'll get to why I didn't beat it. Okay, so have notes here, and we're going to get into things that I like and don't like. First, let's go into the story. It's super confusing to try and explain to people, so I don't really want to explain the entire story to everybody here. But basically, you live in a world called Cocoon. And there are 6 people that go on an adventure together, like any other RPG. You know, they're all unlikely friends that meet up together. Whatever. It's always the same shit to some extent. But I really like this one, and I have, you know, the story in front of me because it's so hard to explain. So you're basically, the world is run by these weird big machines called Fal'Cie. It's really confusing. And you are turned into l'Cie by the Fal'Cie. Wow, this sounds confusing. And you have to complete a focus. And you're not told what your focus is. You have to complete some kind of task. If you do complete the focus, you are basically eternally preserved as a crystal, which sounds horrible. And if you don't complete your focus, and you don't even know how much time you have to complete it, you are turned into a l'Cie, which is like a horrible zombie-like creature that's just, you're gone. So basically, they're all trying to save the world, and now they're like, oh my god, we're all l'Cie, what are we supposed to do? And it's so awesome. I really like the story to this. And it gets really complicated and confusing, and you find out all sorts of crazy things about different characters in it. As far as the characters go, they're not... I really like Saz, I guess, but there weren't any specific characters where I was like, oh my god, best Final Fantasy character ever. People really liked Lightning, who's the main character. She's on the front there. She's also, the voice of her is Liara from Mass Effect, which is cool. And after I played Mass Effect, I was like, oh my god, that's all I hear now. None of the characters were like fantastic to me, but as a group together, it really worked. And I have to admit, a lot of games are like that, where there isn't specifically, I mean, there are in some games, but there wasn't one character that stood out like, this character's the best, I love this character. But when they all were together, it really worked, and they were all very different, which makes, you know, they always do that. A lot of them were like hardcore stereotypes, and that was annoying. Like Snow was like the hero guy, and he was really annoying, so whatever. You know, Lightning is real badass, she's a soldier. You know, Vanille's really girly, has a super annoying voice that you really don't, it doesn't get as annoying at the end, but right away you're like, holy smokes, how am I going to go through the whole game like this? Who else? Saz is awesome. He's got this big afro and he's got a chocobo, a little baby chocobo that lives in his hair, and he's like really cool, and he's got a son that he's looking out to save, and I don't know, it was really interesting. Hope is just such a pussy, and I can't even deal with Hope. He was so annoying. I didn't mind Vanille, but Hope was so annoying. And Fang, she's bad. She kind of sounds Australian. I don't know. Altogether, they were really good, but there wasn't a specific character that I just loved. So, whatever. But that's not the reason I like this game. I liked the story. It was really interesting, and the gameplay, which is the reason people hated it, was the reason I loved it. So, I like this game because the battle system in this was so freaking epic. I thought it was, anyway. I thought it was. Some people hated it because it really was like night and day from stuff they've done before, which I don't care. I really, really, really liked it. It uses paradigm shifts. I'm not really going to explain to you guys how that works. This game has been out now for 4 years, I think, so if you want to go look it up, go look it up. It's kind of a hard thing to explain. It's not your average turn-based system here. Everything is going on all at once. It's really blah, but I loved it. I loved it. It was so exciting. And people go, well, it's so easy because you just set paradigm shifts and kind of watch as it goes. Yeah, you do, but at the same time, you have to know exactly when to switch your paradigms and get it exactly right, which was super satisfying when you'd beat a boss. Beating bosses in this game was like winning the Super Bowl or something. It was seriously like, you could hear like hallelujah in the background, like, oh my god, you were just so excited. And now we go from a good to a bad. The bosses in this game took way too freaking long, and that's the reason I beat this game. Because near the end of the game, I would spend like not 2 hours, but like an hour on a boss and then die. And then you maybe have to do that boss 5 or 6 times. So it's like, wow, I've spent 5 hours on one boss, and it took me 6 times. So the 6th hour of playing the boss is when I beat the boss. So it's like, I don't really want to spend 6 hours on a boss, because that's a long time to, every minute of that hour, you think this is the time I'm going to beat it. And it's like, wow, I totally didn't. And you don't know, is it going to take me 3 times to beat this boss? Is it going to take me once? Is it going to take me 8 times to beat this boss? Now, maybe not, it's not an hour every time, and at the start of the game, it's totally not. But at the end of the game, whoa, these bosses they take forever. And I'm sorry, but I just can't do that. That's just too much for me. I literally had like 3 bosses left or something, and I was done the whole game. And I know that sounds like, wow, just go for it. I tried, and I lost. I was just like, no, I'm wasting so much time when I could be playing other games and, just finding other games to play and, whatever. So that's the reason I beat this game. That's kind of the reason I'm assuming that you didn't beat it either, Scott, because what the hell? It's just too long and annoying, because, like, I can't even imagine what the final boss is like in this game. Like, I know who it is and everything, but I feel like, oh my god, like, is it like 4 hours to beat, and how long is it going to take me to beat the boss? Like, forever? Like, sorry, but I was just done, and I was so fed up. And once you knew the strategy of how to beat these bosses in this game, it was so awesome. It was like the coolest thing. It was like everything fitting together like a really good puzzle, and you're like, oh man, I got this. But then, then you would die, and you're like, okay, I figured it out. But then it's like, I've wasted 3 hours on this. That's annoying. So I'm sorry if I'm super annoyed about that, but that's what frustrated me about this game. Now, like, the first 40 some hours aren't like that, but really the last like 10, 15, 20 hours, holy smokes, so annoying. So I got really frustrated to the point where I was like, I can't do it. I'm so frustrated. So I'm willing to just watch the end video. I mean, I kind of know what happens anyway. It's kind of obvious. I mean, there's 3 of these now. They've just, with Lightning Returns coming out. I want to play the second one. Really excited, and it looks cool. So I don't know. And visually, if I may go into that, visually, whoa, this game is one of the best games I've ever played. This game is so amazing. The cutscenes in this are like mind-blowing, and the in-game, actually just playing it, the in-game engine is like, looks great. Like, I at this time I was playing this, I was playing Mass Effect, or I had just beat it, and that was like in my head. And I was like, whoa, like Mass Effect 3 looks so good. And then I play this and you're like, this looks way better. This looks so good. This is one of the best looking games like I think I've ever played. It just looks so good, guys. I mean, I have lots of PS3, like, you know, well, I guess it's not current gen anymore, but whatever. Lots of games that are like from that era. And, you know, Ni no Kuni I thought looked great, and it's still, in my opinion, one of the best looking games because it does what it's trying to do perfectly. But this game comes pretty close. Honestly, guys, look up gameplay footage of this, and it looks amazing. Everything, the way that their skin looks, their hair, it just looks so good. So, yeah, I have no complaints on visually. This is one of the best looking games ever. It's so interesting, and the story is good. The battle system, though, guys, it's really unique and special, and I just loved it. It was so fast. Like, if you would walk in and watch somebody playing this, it was just like everywhere. And that maybe looks frustrating and intimidating, but once you have it, as soon as you're like, there's a moment when you're like, I get it. I 100%, I got this. And you can't wait to like beat a boss. But then when the bosses become like an hour and a half long, I don't want to beat it. I don't even want to bother. So that's annoying to me, and I feel like that's completely unnecessary. Now, for people out there who your thing is like boss fights, then go for it. But for me, a boss fight that's an hour long is a huge waste of my time. I'm sorry, I hate it. And if it's the final boss, I'll give it some slack because I feel like, well, it's the final boss. It's gonna be long. It's gonna be like, you know, I hate it when you beat a boss and then they like turn into another form. And then you beat that boss and they turn into a third form. You're like, oh my God, can you just die? But I'm sorry, but it just got to a point when it was like, I'm wasting so much time and dying, and then I'd have to level up, and it was very, very frustrating. If you guys don't like grinding, this game is pretty good, but near the end it started to get a bit like that, which is fair, but then when you'd get to a boss and you're like, wow, not only am I not at a level high enough to beat this boss, when I do get to beat it, I keep dying because I don't have the strategy quite right, and it's like, I've wasted so much time just on this one part. Oh man, so yeah, I got frustrated with that. As far as anything else, I'm trying to think. Music. I thought music was great. It's not, you know, Nobuo Uematsu, and, you know, people complain, well, it's just not as good. I thought it was awesome. You know, it doesn't have the same charm as like Terra's theme or something, but honestly, I thought it was really good, guys. It's a good soundtrack. I really enjoyed it. You know, I hope that the next ones have the same kind of soundtrack because it was really interesting. Lots of neat tracks to the point where I downloaded some, and I have it on my iPod, and I really like the music from this. The main theme is really good. I just really overall liked it. The cutscenes were very interesting, very fascinating, looked great. I don't have really that much to say. The only thing I hated was just the bosses being too long. Like, it's just annoying. But that's the only bad thing, guys. The other reason that people hated this game, and I'm rolling my eyes because it's like, I don't know, I feel like just get over it, guys, is there was no open world, and there's no towns, and people are going, oh my God, how could they dare change that format? How could they be creative and change something? Okay, my response to that was, who cares? If something works, it works. Maybe you have an RPG that you don't visit towns. Maybe you can change the formula. And that's why I like Final Fantasy, because every game they try and change the formula, whether it's with a battle system, whether it's with there's no overworld this time, or whatever, with anything. The character's looking different, the character's not being human, anything. They change things up, and I think that's really important, and they are always, you know, setting the trends for other things for other RPGs to do, and I still think they are. Everybody says Final Fantasy is not what it used to be, but come on, guys, when these come out, they always sell like crazy, and I think that's good. I want people, because you know what? Someone buying this game could have got into RPGs, and now they're playing tons of other RPGs because of it. So, I don't know. I just didn't really get the hate. I didn't get the hate. I just thought this game was awesome. And I know there's sort of a fan base that just loved it. They're diehard fans, and there's people who just hated it, and there's people who just, I loved it. So that's what I'm going to say about that. As far as there not being towns, when I first heard about that, I was like devastated. And then when I played it, I got so into it because the landscapes, the areas you traveled in were so awesome, it didn't matter. And also the way the story was, it wasn't the kind of story where you go to another town every, 3 hours. It didn't work that way. It wouldn't have been, I don't know, it didn't work that way, guys. So if you're really freaked out about that, it's all good. If you're wondering how you bought items, it was just out of save sphere. Yeah, I know, kind of boring. It would have been nice to explore a town. I get it. It would have been nice to have done that. That's one of my favorite parts about RPGs, is going to a new town and seeing new people. It's so fun. But this game didn't have that. But it was okay. I was totally okay with it. You know, you'd move on to a next part, you'd see a cool cutscene, and it'd be a neat area. It was fine. There is a part of the game where it's quite open, and it's near the very end. And yeah, it's open, but at the same time it isn't. So I feel like, I don't know, it didn't bother me. And lots of people are freaked out to play it. They're like, I'm not even gonna bother with that Final Fantasy. I'm like, who cares? I thought it was great. And you know, don't compare it to your favorites. Don't compare this to Final Fantasy VI or Final Fantasy VII. Don't, because you're gonna be let down if that's to you. If Final Fantasy VII is the epitome of what an RPG should be, and you play this, you might be let down. But I feel like if you're willing to experience something different, then you're gonna like it, because I thought it was great, and when I played it, I immediately liked it. So again, I sort of don't get the hate, because I feel like they're just trying something new. And then with Final Fantasy XV, they're gonna try something else new, and I'm very, very open. I'm so excited, because I just love the series. I'm never let down. That's me personally, and some people are, and that's cool. If you hate it, you're allowed. There's games I don't like. So anyway, I don't have much else to say about it other than it's fantastic. If you're willing at the end of the game to spend a long time on a boss, go for it. I just can't, guys. It's too much. I just had to quit. Now, that doesn't mean I'm never, ever, ever going back to it, because it's so good. I know where I am in the game. I don't think I'll forget, and I can always refresh myself on YouTube or something. But I will definitely go back to this. But I'd like to maybe give Final Fantasy XIII 2 a shot, because, you know, they did change things that people complain about, and I want to see, well, what did they fix and what did they keep? So I'm excited. I do have it. I will get Lightning Returns at some point, but I've heard a lot of mixed things about that, because it's like really different. I don't like games that have time factors, where it's like you know, you've got 10 minutes to do this. I hate it. So unless it's like Mario, I hate it. So yeah, I don't know. Give this game a chance. If you didn't like it, maybe give it another shot, because I really, really, really believe in this game. I thought it was great. And you know, this game to me is, you know, Square Enix can still make good games. I truly, truly think they can. And I think Final Fantasy is just as good as it used to be. It's because they're changing it up, and I think that's good. I think that's exciting. So that's all I have to say about Final Fantasy XIII. Definitely give it a shot. It's so cheap now if you don't have it. And if you do have it and it's getting dusty, pull it out. I highly recommend this game. It's one of the best games one of the best RPGs I've played. It's not my favorite, but I really, really, really enjoyed it. So I have nothing but good things to say. So try this game out, give it another shot, because I thought it was great. But other than that, I will see you guys next time.